Already. All right, so I'm going to watch. Now, this dough you're using now, which dough is this?
This is actually the Caputo.
And can I feel it before you do anything with it?
Sure.
Because it's not unlike, some of the doughs here that where the American guys are trying to work with the high protein flour. This isn't a real wet dough. Yeah,
no,
it's soft, but
wet.
it's not wet.
It's pretty easy to move. I mean, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create my crust around the edges.
Okay.
Now I'm going to push it.
So the technique is really all done right on the marble here.
Yeah, everything's done on the marble. And usually you push it out to about a 10-inch. Usually what I want it to be is I want it to be a 12-inch, but what you do is you fix it on your peel. In Naples, they slide their pizza on the peel, and that's very important.
And do you think that makes a difference too?
It's just that it's just when you compete. Let's just say if I go,
they're grading you for that too.
You slid it.
So the challenge is you're making this right on you're making the whole pizza and then you're transferring it.
Exactly. So when we're making this, we're going to go in a spiral motion.
Yeah, look how pretty that sauce is. That sauce is like really loose and wet. It's not like a thick pasty sauce.
Now what I do is I grab a 4-ounce ovalini, and what I do is sometimes they'll chop it on the marble, sometimes it'll already be chopped or cubed. I actually pinch it off, and so I know that every time you get a pizza here, it's always going to be 4 ounces.
4 ounces of
and
cheese.
It's not going to be a different
and this is
weight.
Fior di latte. This is the cow's milk mozzarella.
Yeah. So I'm just going to make you a margarita out of this Caputo.
Okay.
And I'm going to make you a margarita out of San Felice.
Oh, cool.
So we have this. We're going to sea salt this, and we're going to go in a spiral motion like that.
Okay.
Now we have our basil. Now when it comes to basil, we tend to take off the stems.
Take the stem.
Okay.
But you're putting the basil on before you bake it, not after.
Exactly.
And that's traditional, or does it matter?
It is very traditional because when you're in a high heat oven like this, your basil is not going to shrivel up to nothing.
And you put a fair amount of basil on there.
Go spiral motion with the olive oil. Now what I talked about, if I'm a classic Italian pizza guy, I would actually pick it up like that off the marble. But we're doing Neapolitan.
Right.
So traditionally in Naples, they would have a piece that would connect and hold it up. So that one pizzaiolo would be able to put it in and they'd be able to slide it themselves.
on. Okay.
But usually I have somebody here. So what I'll do is if you can hold it up here.
Hold it here. All right.
Now this is the traditional slide in Naples. So what you would do is you would hold it for me and then I would go ahead and shape it. And then I would slide it in my
So you're going
oven.
to pull it a little bit
more.
more.
So in Naples, they're always going to slide it from the marble onto their peel. That's traditional. When I was competing, I had wood boxes and I had wood. All my sauce, everything was in wood. I had a wood kit. So I had this Neapolitan kid come up to me and say something in Italian, and I couldn't understand what he said. And this old man who's a VPN, like third generation pizzaiolo, told him to go take a hike. So I said, well, what's going on? And he's all like, you can tell him we got metal now, because I had wood. And everyone had like metal bowls and ceramic bowls, but your temperatures are important. Getting your temperatures up to room temperature as much as possible before putting them into a 900-degree oven is very important. So something that's in wood, it's very, very at room temperature. It's very important. So your flavor is going to be in your pizza more.
Right.
So that's why you always bring your dough up to room temperature before you put it in your oven. You never put cold dough in a hot oven because your bottom's going to burn and your top won't be finished. So you're going to have an uneven bake.
And that just slid right in real easy off your peel. You didn't have to use a lot of flour on the peel to get it off.
What's nice about this peel is the flour goes right through it.
Right through,
nice.
Yeah.
This is made in Italy. And
now
those peels, the flour is made.
Now we said 90 seconds, so we're about 15 seconds in, and already we can see it's starting to puff up.
You're going to see a pretty good char already.
Already, yeah. It's much hotter than that part of the bake. So you have to turn it in order to even it out.
Closest to the wood is going to be your hottest area. So this side right here is going to be charring pretty quick. I have about 25 seconds left.
It happens fast.
I mean, it might be a little over 90, but this is also our first pizza of the day.
Right.
So it's kind of hard to know really exactly.
So you really got to watch it. But also now...
You see the bottom looking pretty good, right? It's not overly charred.
You also have one pizza in there. Now, how many can you bake when you're in full tilt?
I can do 3.
You can squeeze 3 in there? Wow.
So you see this pie?
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Beautiful.
Now the bottom's good.
Yeah.
My bottom's good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to dome this real quick. And that dome is very, very hot.
Probably.
It's like 1,000 degrees.
So you're getting a real blast of heat up there, baking straight down. That was it, just a few seconds above.
Not too bad, huh?
And that's it. About 90 seconds, maybe less even. And even the basil's still green. A little bit of char on it. Got beautiful caramelization of the crust there.
And there's no sugar, no oil in this, so you can tell without that, the pizza charred pretty well.
Even without sugar, it still caramelizes because caramelization refers to sugar. So the sugar must be in the flour naturally. It's the natural sugar in the flour that's caramelizing.
Yeah, the simple sugar content in this flour, you know, the older the flour, the higher the simple sugar content. So this flour, even though it came from Naples, it got imported here, the flour and the date on the bag is about 4 months, which is actually perfect. It means it almost has 3% simple sugar content in it. So the yeast is actually feeding on that sugar that's already in the dough.
Right,
and
okay.
that's what's kind of nice about this.
And the lower protein flours have more of that starch and sugar. So.
Yeah. So we're going to slide it on here, and that's about.
And this is how it would be served on
exactly.
like this.
Our margarita, when you get the award-winning margarita, it's always served on these. These are made in Italy for our margarita.
Only for the margaritas.
Just for the margarita.
So would Rafael Esposito be proud? Would this be kind of like what he served Queen Margherita?
Probably want to get a plate and say, why are you doing that?
Yeah. What are you fussing me up for?
Sugani or
Yeah. But this would be fairly much like the pizza that Queen Margherita got.
Very Napolitana, yeah, style pizza.
Beautiful.
You want to try it?
Yeah. I'm thinking about that right now.
What's funny is in Naples, before it's cut at the championships, what they'll do is they'll hold it up, and usually your judges are pizzaiolos, generations and generations.
Right.
So they're old guys. They're like 70, 80-year-old guys that are watching the oven for you, make sure it's all right. So they lift it up, and they look at you and they say, okay.
They want to see the
and
bottom.
Say, go ahead. They want to see if it breaks through. Because if you have a 90-second bake, it bulges. If you ever lift that pizza up by itself, you'll see a bulge. Well, my guy lifted it up, and he looked at me. He kept looking at me.
Yeah.
He looked at me for like 30 seconds. They're only supposed to do it for like 5 seconds. And it wouldn't go through, and it's bulging in the middle.
He's hoping
he
it's
wanted
gonna
it to
go
rip through.
He wanted you
I
to
said,
lose, yeah.
disqualified. He looked at me, and he put it down. He said, molto buono. He said it's good. He
didn't want to say it, but he had to.
That was one thing that I went through, which was kind of funny.
They were harder on you than the other ones.
So see how the basil had a nice little char, but it didn't get overly
shrivel
burnt
or anything.
Yeah, no.
And now also because this is the Napolitana, the slices aren't designed to stand straight out.
No.
Like this.
Traditionally, you wouldn't cut your pizza. It's called a Neapolitan fold. Say you had your pizza here, you'd fold it, and fold it, and you would eat it.
The whole thing?
Yeah,
Like
that's traditional.
Like a giant sandwich?
If you're from Naples, you say, don't cut it, and you'd fold it. I look at the guy and say, okay, that guy's from Naples. So.
Wow. All right, so but I could fold this like this. Again, really light tasting. The dough is light, sweet. It tastes like there's sugar in the dough. Tastes like there's sugar in the dough because it's so sweet, but there isn't. None added. It's just the natural sweetness and sugars that's in the flour. The sauce is like, it's so bright. I mean, not just in color, but bright in flavor. I mean, it
really
just
tastes that tomato flavor. That's what it's really all about, is that simplicity of pizza, going back to its roots, going back to what pizza really was in its heyday. And I think that's what you're going to taste right there.